Hi, I'm Neve. I'm a second year plant biology student at the University of Nottingham and I have a huge problem. I have imposter syndrome and I'm pretty sure everyone else does too and we're just not talking about it. Recently, in my second year of university, I have experienced the worst imposter syndrome of my life. I have literally never had such intense imposter syndrome and the feeling of being a fraud than I have since being at this university. And I want it gone. I want it gone because it is so intense that I want to deal with it, and I have no idea what I'm doing, but I know that I'm going to make a YouTube video on it because one of my favourite things to do is talk about my feelings. And I want to talk to you guys about it too, because I need you to know that you're not alone if you're feeling the same way. And I have a guess that at least like 8 out of 10 of you are. Firstly, what is imposter syndrome? Well, it's a psychological phenomenon that causes people to persistently doubt their skills, accomplishments, and intellect, despite evidence that they are in fact competent. Now, I'm not going to give you the ins and outs of what it is psychologically, all the psychological treatments you can get, where it comes from, who gave it to you, and every other psychological article under the sun, but I'm not just going to sit here and ramble with no backing. So there are links in the description to all of the articles I have used to discover my information on this, but to be fair, I think a lot of this has come from my own intuition of just knowing that what I'm feeling is not true. So imposter syndrome basically makes you lie to yourself about how smart you are. Okay, it's a little bit more than that, but it's the idea that you are feeling not as good as you actually are. You're looking at yourself and you're going, I'm fraudulent, I'm not real, I don't deserve to be where I'm at. And at university, you're likely probably doubting your place, you're maybe doubting your grades, you're maybe even thinking, I'm not as smart as the people around me, and I'm not smart enough. I'm not smart enough has been a motto that I have been telling myself for months, and it needs to go. It needs to get gone. Officially, it manifests as persistent feelings of self-doubt and fear, especially as fear as being exposed as a fraud. So almost like everyone around you seeing you and going, you don't belong here. You don't belong at this university and you're not working as hard as everyone else. You discount your own achievements, so you're probably going to look at your grades and go, well, that's not as good as XYZ, it could be better. And I especially think people deal with that in first year, because if you get into a university, say you get in with really high A-level grades, and suddenly you're getting marked like a 70% and a 70% is good, and you're like, a 70% at A-level wouldn't have even got me C. So you're suddenly going from, you need to get, 80, 90% to be able to even consider doing well, to a 70% is good, and you just have to accept that. Overworking yourself is another massive manifestation of this. You end up doing more work than you need to do. I found that I do that a lot. I will add things to work and I will overcompensate for things that I think I'm not doing as well in, and that leads to me having to cut down word counts a lot. I find specifically it manifests in my coursework. If I don't think I'm explaining things well enough, like from a scientific standpoint, or I don't understand the literature as well as other people, I'll just waffle a lot and explain a lot. And it doesn't matter, and it actually decreases my grade rather than improves it. Another manifestation is the fear of failure, and I think we all believe that this is true. Like, we look at our grades and we look at coursework and we go, I'm going to fail, this is going to be awful. And we overthink and we overthink and we overthink. I can't count as high as the amount of times I have thought about a project and had like panic attacks over it, thinking, I'm going to fail and this is going to be the reason I have to drop out of uni. But, spoiler alert, it's never been the case. I have never failed at university, despite the fact that I sit here and tell myself I will. And as every syndrome, although it's not technically a syndrome, it's a phenomenon. Anyway, regardless of that, there are risks to not treating it. And one of those is that you miss opportunities. I find myself at university constantly dropping myself out of opportunities because I don't think I am the smartest person in the cohort. I'm not the smartest person in my class, so I don't deserve to go on these opportunities because it's for the highest of achievers. But I am a high achiever. I just don't treat myself like I am because I have imposter syndrome.
One thing I nearly missed out on because of my imposter syndrome is Botanical University Challenge. I nearly said no to doing it because I convinced myself I wasn't the kind of student they wanted, and look at me now. I'm actually doing my second year of Botanical University Challenge on the trot, and I'll be doing it in August, so stick around for that. Tiny self-promo. Okay, back to the video.
Low self-esteem is another one. Just feeling like you're not good enough, and when you tell yourself that, you start believing it. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more you tell yourself you don't deserve to be at university, the easier it is to convince yourself that you should drop out because that's what's best, when in reality, it's not what's best for you. You've just told yourself it's what's best for you. You stop feeling proud of yourself, which is really rough because, again, it contributes to that low self-esteem, because if you're not going, wow, the thing I've done is actually a huge feat for me, I'm so impressed with myself, you start feeling like maybe you're not actually achieving anything. And when you're not achieving anything, is all the effort that you're putting into proving yourself actually even worth it if you keep telling yourself, when you actually do prove yourself, that it wasn't even good enough that time? And the worst things are anxiety, mental health problems, and then burnout. Burnout is the worst. You overwork yourself because you want to prove yourself. You finally prove yourself with a good grade, and then you talk yourself out of it, and then you're exhausted for like 8 weeks and you can't do anything. But because you don't want to fall behind and look like you're not like everyone else and be the outcast who isn't good enough for the uni, you keep working and you get exhausted, and you also don't tell anyone. Because imposter syndrome, if I tell someone that I don't feel like I belong here, what if they tell me I don't? That's a huge genuine fear for me as well. As what if, at first, I was like, if I go to one of the mental health people and I say, I'm struggling with all these assignments I have to do because I feel like I can't do them and I'm not good enough and I'm convincing myself I should drop out, what if one of them turns to me and goes, yeah, you should drop out. If you can't handle the workload, drop out. But again, spoiler alert, another one of these, no one has ever said that to me. And I don't know why I keep telling myself they will. Everyone I've gone to help for has never ever told me, you're asking these questions because you're not good enough. You're struggling because you're not good enough. It's always, everyone is struggling like this, everyone has struggled like this, and even the people who you admire are struggling. I thought I would give you really specific examples of times in my university life that I have faced imposter syndrome to kind of build a little rapport and let you guys know that, like, I'm not just saying, oh, I have imposter syndrome, like my video, for tips and tricks. Like, I genuinely suffer with it. And I thought I'd give you actual examples so that if you're going to university or you're in university and you face something like similar, you know, oh, there is someone and she's going through the exact same thing, and there's probably a bunch of other people going through even more intense. So the first example I have is recent. I finished a group project today. I was genuinely shaking when I had to put my part of the group project on the document, because I convinced myself my writing style wasn't as smart as the other people in the group. I didn't understand the content as much. I wasn't getting it. So I was shaking and freaking out and super, super stressed that everything I had written was not going to be good enough. So not only did I procrastinate doing it because I was too scared of the potential humiliation of not putting a good piece of the group work in, once I'd finished procrastinating and I was going to hand it in, I was so worried it wasn't good enough. I happened to live in the same house as someone who's in the group project, so I just called them downstairs and said, read it please, I need to see that it's okay. They read my description and were like, yeah, you could improve like the word count, but that's it. And I was like, just the word count? Is that all I have to improve? Because I had so hardly convinced myself that I didn't understand the science, I didn't understand the findings, which I did anyway, I didn't understand the data, and I wasn't intelligent enough. And I freaked myself out to the point that I had to then untangle my brain to be told, no, you're doing it fine. But I basically stopped myself from asking for help and clarifying the group project because I was too scared of looking like an idiot. It also stopped me asking questions. When I had genuine questions about the group project that could have made our work better, I didn't ask them until a lot later than I should have, and I made the work harder for myself because I was too scared to ask questions. So I was risking my peace of mind and my workload because I was too scared of looking stupid for asking a couple of questions. I have missed out on so many chances to feel like a part of my classes this university 2 years because I don't put my hand up, I don't answer things in class, and I do not go to the lecturers at the end of the lecture because I don't want to look less impressive than the rest of the students who can do it like that. I had an actual specific example. I was in a molecular biology of the cell lecture, and the lecturer was asking us, he says, I don't do hands up, I'm just going to point at you and you're going to tell me the answer to this thing. It was a very simple thing. He was asking about organelles in the cell that were double membrane bound. I can do that. I could do that in my sleep. The moment that man said he was going to start picking people out at random, I was suddenly the least intelligent person in that class in my head. I was not meant to be there. I was going to completely show my idiocy in front of all of these other biotech students and all these other plant biology students. He asked me the question and I had an answer and I answered it and it was fine. It was genuinely fine. And even after that, I convinced myself I hesitated and I didn't do well. And that experience is just one of many examples where I've freaked myself out in moments I shouldn't have to. I was intelligent enough to answer that question. Everyone in that class was intelligent enough to answer that question. I was not the outlier, but I convinced myself I was. I also find myself holding back in coursework and holding back in exams as to not sound stupid when I know who the examiner is. I find it really, really hard to give my own understanding of a scientific concept in a lab report, or maybe like an essay, when I know that the examiner's going to read it, and I've met the person who's going to mark it, because I go, if I get it wrong, they've seen my face and they know that is the face of someone who's stupid. When I'm not stupid, I took the module, I sat the lessons, I read the articles, I wrote the paper. I am not stupid. I know what I'm writing, and I'm going to write it, and I'm going to hand it in. But every single time in my first year, when I had to explain something scientific, I freaked myself out. And because I was convinced I couldn't give a good enough reason, and that a lecturer would see it and genuinely think I was unintelligent, I wrote less than I needed to. And I actually compromised my grades for it. I could have gotten first. I was getting 2 2s and 2 1s in my first year because I was too scared to give more detail. And then I'd look at my friends' reports after we'd all gotten our grades back, and they all got great grades, and I got grades that were still good, but they weren't good enough to prove myself as good as my peers. I realised that they all had exactly the same understanding as I did, and I could have genuinely gotten more grades. So that's another thing that, I'll be honest, I don't like admitting I stopped myself getting good grades because I had imposter syndrome. But it is that detrimental that I genuinely stopped myself doing well in my first year. No, I did well. I did very well. See, that's the thing. Isn't that me telling myself I wasn't doing well? But I stopped myself from getting the best grades I could because I convinced myself someone reading it might think I'm stupid, when in reality, a lot of these lecturers don't care. They don't care. If you get it wrong, they know that you're not the authority on the subject. They are, because they taught the lecture. I don't know why I freak myself out so much about it. It's actually embarrassing. But it shouldn't be embarrassing because I know that everyone has probably done something similar. I used to do it at A-level as well. So if you're in A-level and you're waiting to get into university, yeah, you are probably the same. While I was doing my mocks for A-level, I didn't do it in my actual A-levels because I didn't know who the examiner was going to be. So if I wrote something stupid, I knew they'd never see my face. If I got a question wrong, that is not as embarrassing in my head as if I got the question wrong and I knew my biology teacher was going to read the wrong answer. And I think that has genuinely come from the fact that for a few years in GCSE level, like secondary school, I was in a class with a teacher that would actively call out bad answers in the class and make you stand up and admit to being the one that had it wrong. And she would make everyone laugh at you. And then I actually had a male teacher in maths that did it the next year as well. So it was an unescapable cycle. And I was really, really bad at maths. So well, I wasn't really, really bad. I was getting decent grades, but I was not the smartest at maths in my class. And it was humiliating. So I was humiliated enough to believe that, actually, teachers who read my bad answers on tests are going to publicly humiliate me for it. So I stopped doing that for a very long time. So on my mocks, if I didn't know the answer, I just wouldn't write something, and I'd lose marks, because instead of trying, and at least trying to get a good answer, I was so scared my answer would be bad that I got it intentionally, just stopped myself trying to get marks. So I held myself back severely because I had imposter syndrome and I was too scared to write full answers or try to even kind of conceptualise what I might mean, because I was scared the person on the other side of the marking might think that me, someone that they hardly know and don't really think about when they go home for the weekend, would assume I was stupid. And that held me back significantly, and it is kind of embarrassing. So if you're doing it as well, don't worry. We don't have a reason to do it, but we do, and it's a flaw, and we'll get through it. We just have to acknowledge we do it first. I have gathered some tips from an article, and I actually really like all of these tips, and I think I'm going to read them to you, and we are going to start putting them into our lives starting today, okay? If you're at university, or you don't even have to be at university, if you're anywhere and you feel like you're having imposter syndrome, promise me this: after this video's done, you're going to start implementing these things, because I'm going to try. I wasn't doing these up till now, but I'm going to start. And that's why I wanted to make this video. I know there are 20 million imposter syndrome self-help videos out there, but this one is me telling you I have imposter syndrome, I hate it, and I've never fixed it, and we're starting now. First and foremost, therapy. Not everyone likes therapy. It's not everyone's cup of tea. It is my cup of tea. I love therapy. I think I have severely, incredibly benefited from going to therapy throughout my life. One of my most beneficial mental health tips for everyone is go to therapy. If it's not your cup of tea, or you maybe can't afford therapy right now, or it's not an option, that is fine. Talk to a friend. The second tip, technically, is to open up. Talk to one of your friends, especially at university. Talk to someone in your class and actively say, I have imposter syndrome. I don't think I am good enough to be here. And 10 out of 10, they will either say same, or they will look you in the eye and go, no, you are good enough to be here. You will be shocked by how many people also feel like they're not smart enough. You are on this university course for a reason. You picked your degree for a reason. You picked the university for a reason. You did your A-levels or your BTECs, whatever you took at post-16. You got the grades you needed, and then you got into the degree, and you are there. In this moment, you are at your university sitting your degree. So you are doing just fine, and you deserve to be there. So start feeling like you do. The third tip is positive self-talk, and I mentioned that a lot in my vlogs actually. I'm trying to really implement positive self-talk, and this means that when you get compliments on your work, you have to say, thank you, but do not continue with, it's not that big a deal, it's not that good, I actually don't think it's that great, oh, never mind. Don't down talk yourself. If someone's giving you a compliment, it's because your work is genuinely good and impressive. Let yourself believe it's impressive, because it is. No one will lie to you, and if people are lying to you, accept it. Take the lie. But no one is lying to you, because your work is definitely good enough. If a peer tells you your work is good, accept it. It's good. Start saying things like, thank you, I worked really hard on it, or thank you, I found this topic really interesting. Just those two sentences alone are enough to fill your little positive self-talk bank up to be able to really start feeling good about yourself. I do tend to do that, to be honest. Positive self-talk has genuinely helped me. Next one, log your achievements. Logging your achievements can do so much good for you, because you are genuinely keeping track of all the wonderful things you've done. Post it on Instagram, put it on TikTok, put it on your LinkedIn, phone your nan and tell her about it. Definitely phone your nan and tell her about it. Nan's a great hype woman. And hang it up on your fridge. Print off your favourite piece of coursework and go and hang it on your parents' fridge and make everyone look at how good you are. Even if you don't feel you're good, I promise you, sharing in your achievements and firstly, keeping a record of them makes you feel good, because you have a bank. You have to eventually have a bank of them anyway, because you're going to need a CV, guys. So you might as well start tracking them now and feeling good about them. But you should log your achievements and you should put them on Instagram. Tell everyone in your life. No one's going to think it's weird. And if they do, they can get lost because they obviously don't care about how well you're doing. So put it on your LinkedIn. It looks good on a LinkedIn. Call someone in your family. They're going to hype you up and remind you of how special and talented you are when you tell them that you've done this thing that is genuinely special, impressive, and shows you that you're talented. Number 5, and it's the last one, and it's a little bit more vague. Break out of your comfort zone. Get out there and do the things that imposter syndrome is holding you back from, because you're going to feel imposter syndrome about it while you do it. But now that we've had this discussion, everyone is feeling it, and it's potentially actually a little bit fake. Imposter syndrome, I'm going to say it louder, is kind of fake. We're not actually bad. We're not imposters, and we're not frauds. So don't let this weird feeling we all have that we're frauds and we're not good enough and we'll never be good enough stop us from achieving what we could do, and maybe not even achieving. You don't have to achieve to be good at what you're doing. To not be an imposter, you don't have to be constantly achieving 110% all of the time, every day. You just have to be trying. And you have to be trying your best. And your best is subjective, it's different from everyone else, and your best is enough. And whether you don't believe that, I want you to know that your best is enough on this YouTube channel every day. Your best is enough here, and it will be enough everywhere else, I promise you. But while you're here, your best is enough. You are not an imposter. You deserve where you're at and everything you've done, and you are great. So believe that, and do not let imposter syndrome stop you from doing the things that you would love to try, you would love to fail. There are some things you might love to do, even if you know you're going to fail, because you like the process of trying it. So go ahead, get out there, do it. I believe in you. You're going to do amazing. And that is all of the tips. This has been a very wishy-washy video, but I wanted to get the camera out and talk about why I have imposter syndrome and why I want it gone. I hope this video has been a nice jumping off point for you to maybe learn some more about imposter syndrome and helping yourself. I am not the be-all and end-all on this topic. There are a million different amazing information. There are TED Talks that you could watch that will just be so much better for you than this video. But there I am with the imposter syndrome. This video is going to be good for people because I am a little hype woman and I'm going to make you feel great because you are great. So yes, join me for the rest of my life from this vlog, from this day forward, by following the vlog to see how I actually do implement getting rid of imposter syndrome. I will talk about it more. I hope you like this video. I hope you know that you're not an imposter and you're not a fraud, and I believe in you and you should believe in yourself, and that you go about and have a lovely day. Thank you for watching.